families, and I see you touch your husband's hand in just the way I...
It's the kind of story that once made the world believe in fairy tales all over again. A radiant American actress, a rebellious British prince, the world's brightest spotlights, and a wedding watched by millions. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry seem to have it all: the looks, the love, the freedom to rewrite centuries of royal tradition. But in Montecito, behind the rose gardens and security gates, something is shifting. The fairy dust is settling, and what's left behind isn't the glowing happily ever after once promised, but an unraveling saga that's both fascinating and, at times, painfully human. It's the kind of slow-motion car crash you can't look away from. And the details only get juicier. Start with the little things. The glint of a wedding ring, now notably absent from Meghan's finger in several recent appearances. The gossip machine spun this as a non-issue, a mere fashion choice, but those close to the couple insist it's a message. A silent protest. In the language of the ultra-famous, sometimes what's not worn says more than any carefully crafted Instagram post. And then there's Harry. 15 days, 10 solo engagements, 3 countries. The man who once seemed surgically attached to Meghan is suddenly circling the globe solo, and if you look closely, looking happier and lighter than he has in years. Is this just the natural ebb and flow of a high-profile marriage, or is it a sign that something deeper is cracking beneath the surface? Behind the scenes, insiders claim the real action is happening not on red carpets or in the tabloids, but in lawyers' offices. Whispers about settlement drafts, demands for titles, property, and millions in compensation swirl like wildfire. Meghan, the same woman who once navigated palace politics with a dazzling smile, is reportedly working on a divorce strategy as polished and deliberate as her first public appearances as a royal. There's talk, too, of a post-divorce tell-all already in the works, written, some claim, while she's still married. If true, it's more than just prepping for a clean break. It's chess, and Meghan seems determined to win at all costs. But what's driving this calculated retreat? To understand, look no further than Meghan's once vaunted passion project, now a cautionary tale in its own right. Meghan's dream was to build her own Goop, a lifestyle brand so magnetic it would make Gwyneth Paltrow look like an amateur. American Riviera Orchard was supposed to be the legacy, the new identity, the thing that would finally put her in control. Instead, it became a flaming mess. No products, no sales, and no credibility, just a swirl of trademarks, filtered Instagram teasers, and a rebranding effort that crashed straight into legal drama. The attempt to relaunch, as ever, in February 2025 only deepened the chaos. The name, it turned out, was already taken by a small but scrappy New York clothing brand. Rather than bow to Netflix-backed lawyers, the owner fought back, and won at least for now. In an era where the little guy rarely triumphs over the powerful, seeing a small business outmaneuver the Duchess's legal team was more than embarrassing. It was a public relations disaster. It didn't end there. Social media sleuths quickly noticed that Meghan's shiny new, as ever, logo looked suspiciously similar to the coat of arms of a Spanish town, Paris, right down to the hummingbirds and palm trees. Claims of unique, personal symbolism fell apart when side-by-side comparisons went viral. Within days, what should have been a brand launch became a meme. What started as a business misstep soon snowballed into something much bigger. With American Riviera Orchard circling the drain, Meghan's carefully crafted image as a trailblazing humanitarian and modern duchess began to crumble. 4 years, she had managed to spin negative headlines into inspirational narratives. Now, even the spin wasn't working. And here's the twist. Some of the most brutal blows weren't coming from critics or the British press. They were coming from her own friends. People close to Meghan described her as spiraling, overwhelmed by the string of failures, mocked online, haunted by disappearing trademarks. For someone who built her brand on perfection and control, this kind of public unraveling was devastating. The pressure was contagious. Friends say arguments at home became frequent, the tension almost visible. Meghan buried herself in business chaos. Harry, meanwhile, found refuge in solo projects and charity work. The once inseparable pair now seemed to orbit in different galaxies. The brand collapse wasn't just a personal blow. It threatened the couple's most important financial lifeline. Netflix, the streaming giant, determined to salvage its investment, announced plans to sell Meghan's products, if they ever launch, through its upcoming Netflix House stores in 2025. Jams and lotions sharing shelf space with Squid Game plushies. Hardly the lifestyle revolution Meghan envisioned. It's not a victory lap. It's damage control. And with the Netflix deal reportedly worth far less than the splashy headline suggested, closer to $20 million over 5 years, not the breathless $100 million once rumored, the pressure to perform is immense. Sources say the renewal isn't a sure thing. When your entire future relies on content that isn't connecting, even a mansion in Montecito starts to feel precarious. Back home, the legal headaches are multiplying. The most serious threat comes not from strangers, but from family. Meghan's half-sister, Samantha Markle, has launched a defamation lawsuit, forcing Meghan to face depositions and answer tough questions under oath about the claims she made during that bombshell Oprah interview. If the case proceeds, legal experts warn it could open the door to yet more lawsuits from others who feel painted as villains. The stakes aren't just financial, they're existential. Meghan's entire narrative, her version of her upbringing, her family, her struggles, could be put on trial. In the midst of this, a curious leak emerged in People magazine, long seen as Meghan's go-to for sympathetic coverage. The report claimed Meghan was focused on the future, while Harry was stuck in the past. On the surface, it seemed innocuous, but insiders saw it for what it was, a calculated briefing, an attempt to shift blame and control the narrative. The public didn't buy it. Instead, it fueled suspicions that the Sussexes' marriage was in real trouble. Once, Archewell was positioned as a joint powerhouse for impact. Now, it's being split behind closed doors. Harry reportedly has no involvement in Meghan's side projects, and the staff has been quietly trimmed, multiple firings, budget cuts, and separate work schedules. The couple, who once branded themselves as inseparable, now appear to be running 2 parallel operations under one roof, clinging to relevance in very different ways. Harry, the once rebel prince, is turning up to charity events, smiling for cameras, and looking, for the first time in years, like a man at peace. Some say it's the kind of quiet confidence that comes with having already made a decision. Meghan, meanwhile, is lawyering up, meeting with potential backers, and preparing for whatever legal or personal battles lie ahead. Just to complicate things, rumors of reconciliation with the royal family are heating up. Recent photos of Harry meeting with palace officials were leaked to the press, sparking speculation. Is it the royal family extending an olive branch? Or is Harry testing the waters for a possible return, just in case the American experiment fully collapses? Whatever the motive, the move was strategic and very public. And Meghan was nowhere in sight. Royal watchers wonder if Harry is following in his mother's footsteps, literally. He's been photographed walking through minefields in Africa, echoing Princess Diana's famous charity work. But instead of drawing the comparisons he may have hoped for, critics called it hollow, even performative. The sincerity, they say, just isn't landing. Back in California, the couple's Montecito mansion is bleeding cash. Property taxes and private security alone cost millions each year, and the specter of a shrinking Netflix deal looms large. Staff have been cut repeatedly. The people remaining are split between Harry's causes and Meghan's business ventures. No shared mission, no shared goals. And as the lawsuits pile up, the fairy tale starts to look less like a storybook and more like a cautionary tale. The once bold escape from royal life has become a tightrope walk above a yawning chasm of debt, legal battles, and public skepticism. For years, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry sold the world a story of reinvention, freedom, and love against all odds. But as the carefully polished image slips, what's left is far more complicated. Isolation, financial strain, and 2 people drifting apart, each trying to hold on to a version of their dream. Will Meghan's next chapter be a comeback story or a final act? Will Harry return to the fold or forge a new path on his own? The only certainty is that the world will be watching, waiting for the next twist in the saga. And in a world obsessed with fairy tales, sometimes the most interesting stories are the ones that don't end happily ever after.